Thank you so much to Seán Heely for bringing us into the room with that beautiful music. We're going to hear more from him in just a little bit. Of course, we are plummeting and hurtling towards St. Patrick's Day in just 2 days. And so we've brought some more wonderful Irish music for you today. And before we get into it, I think it's time to say hello to everybody in the room. Welcome back to the Daily Antidote of Song, brought to you by those fine folks over at Carpe Diem Arts. Give them a hand. Give them a hand. Hooray for Carpe Diem Arts, letting us all meet in this space together and sing every single day. It is day 1805. We are so close to celebrating our half decade. That is going to be a spectacular, spectacular thing to celebrate. And a lot of us remember having been here from day one. Anyone been here since day one? It's been so many of you who have been here since the very early days. And we are so grateful that you come back and sing with us every single day, or whenever you can. Now, it's time to say hello to everybody in the room. Hello to everyone watching out there on the live streams. That's on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for watching. You're always welcome to come and join us right here in the Zoom room, but we also love it when you stay out there too. We will sing with you however you want. Welcome and thank you to our artist of the day, Seán Heely, coming in from Falls Church, Virginia, very close to my hometown where I grew up. Hello to our fearless leader, Jojo Rossi, still warm and sunny in Florida. Look at the tan, look at the glow. Hello and thank you to Jonathan in Rhode Island, Sydney in San Francisco, Nan in Michigan, Kathleen in Albuquerque, Carolyn in Boise, Idaho, Susan in Cincinnati, Marion in Brighton, UK, David and Elsie in Oakland, California. Hello to Susan in Seattle, Mabel and some cinnamon bears in Massachusetts, Linda in Orcas Island, Benet in Berkeley, California, Sheila in Florida, just like Joe, Kathy in California. Hello to Christiana in Maryland, who is going to be our fabulous song leader tomorrow, so you'll have to be sure to come back and sing with Christiana tomorrow. Hi to Athena in Brooklyn, New York. Hi to Busy, our fearless leader from Carpe Diem Arts. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Hi to Storm in Massachusetts, Trish in Victoria, BC, Annette in California, Ariana in Los Angeles, one of our fabulous tech people making this all happen. Hello to Cricket. Hi to Julie in Ontario, Canada, Linda in San Rafael, California, Caroline in DC, Deborah in Kentucky, Aloysius in Massachusetts, Deli in Maryland, Linda in Concord, Mass, Bob in warm Massachusetts today. Hi to Olga. Hello to Candace in LA, one of our other tech folks holding fort behind the scene. Hi to Jenny in Suffolk in the UK, Arlene in Berkeley, California, Jamie in Victoria, BC, Bob in Albany, New York, Isabel, hello. Let's see who's on page 2. Bronwyn in Victoria, Don and maybe some curly tops in Vermont, and Lynn. Hello to everybody. It is so wonderful to be here with you. Now, let's get to some singing. It is my pleasure to introduce Seán Heely, a wonderful singer, songwriter, instrumentalist, musician, just a fabulous, fabulous player and lover and bringer of music. So, Seán, how are you doing?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back on the Daily Antidote of Song. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Joe, and everybody.
It's so
It's
great to have
been
you back.
yeah, it's been a great week. Started out in Richmond, Virginia, and then went over and hung out with people on the Eastern Shore. Got to see Busy, and we'll do some work in the schools there and near St. Michael's, and kind of introducing the Irish and Scottish culture to young kids. And then we've just been doing gigs every night since. It's the high season for us Celtic musicians.
That it is. And now,
So
as a part of that high season, you brought us some lovely songs today. So, what do you say?
yeah,
Let's launch right in.
let's launch in. Yeah, so I got this song. The first song, it's just called the Irish Pub Song, and it's I heard the recording from the High Kings, which is a famous group. But it's just a funny song, and there is a lot of truth in it. Basically, the subject of the song is anywhere you go in the world, for some reason, you can find an Irish pub. And it actually says you could be in Peru in the first verse. When you're walking through a city street, you could be in Peru. You hear a distant calling and you know it's meant for you. I lived that. I was in Peru in 2019 and I was in an oasis to the south of Lima. Sand dunes on either side of me, and we went sandboarding and buggying around, and then we ended up back where the bus would take us back to Lima. It was like a 4-hour trip, and there was literally an Irish pub. There was a leprechaun on the side of the building with heart-shaped eyes, and they were serving Guinness.
That's too funny. It really is something universal.
Yeah, and they were playing songs like this over the intercom, and I don't think many of the people spoke English, so it was pretty great. So anyways, here we go with the Irish pub song. The chorus, I'll introduce the melody, and then we can try to sing along. It's one of those Irish wordy songs, so might have to take a sip of water before singing this, or something else. It's a little early, though. So it goes, when you're walking through a city street, you could be in Peru, and you hear a distant calling, and you know it's meant for you. Then you drop what you were doing, and you join the merry mob, and before you just know where you are, you're in an Irish pub. They've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job, 'cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. Alright, let's try that now. So, they've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job, 'cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. Yeah? Alright, I think, the chorus comes after every verse, so if you missed a couple of those syllables, the Irish are famous for putting jigs together in a song and stretching out words to fit the jiggity. So if you have a 2-syllable word like Dublin, it becomes Dublin. So you get the jiggity. All right, so let's go into it. When you're walking through a city street, you could be in Peru, and you hear a distant calling, and you know it's meant for you. Then you drop what you were doing, and you join the merry mob, and before you just know where you are, you're in an Irish pub. They've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job, 'cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. Now the design is fairly simple, it usually works the same. You'll have Razorhout and scoring in the Ireland-England game, and you'll know you're in an Irish pub the minute you're in the door. For a couple of boys with bowrens will be murdering Christy Moore. They've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job, 'cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. Now the owner is Norwegian, and the manager comes from Cork, and the lad that's holding up the bar says only Egypt's work. He was born and bred in Bolton, but his mammy's from Kildare, and he's going to make his fortune soon and move to County Clare. They've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job, 'cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. Now it's time for me to go, boys, I have to catch me train. So I'll leave you sitting at the bar and face the wind and rain. Well, I'll have that pint you owe me if I'm not gone on the dry, when we meet next week in Frankfurt in the fields of Athenry. They've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job. Well, wherever you go around the world, you'll find a nice They've got one in Honolulu, they've got one in Moscow too. They've got 4 of them in Sydney and a couple in Kathmandu. So whether you sing or pull a pint, you'll always have a job, 'cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. 'Cause wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub. Woo!
Oh, that song is so much fun. I'll have you know that song is a beacon of beckoning, because as soon as you started playing it, Michael, my duo of marbles and twine, came bolting in from the other room, belting the chorus, because everyone loves this song. It's such a grand song.
Yeah, I love it too. I hadn't actually done it before, and then I kept hearing. I was like, I gotta add this to my repertoire because it's just so fun.
It
And
is
I've
so fun.
and like I said, I've lived it. It's true. Every
It
word of
really
it's
is
true.
true. Now, I've got to ask, for those who don't know, could you tell us a little bit what the instrument you're playing is and a little bit about it?
Sure, yeah. So this is a Irish bouzouki, Bouzouki. And originally, that is a Greek instrument, but the Irish fell in love with it. Specifically, a couple of guys, but Johnny Moynihan fell in love with the Irish bouzouki, which is actually a gourd back, so it's a rounded back, and traditionally in the Greek music, and he fell in love with it. I think they were in London and they saw some Greek musicians, and they were like, "Wow, we really like the sound of that, the ringing strings and all that." So they basically crafted this instrument, which ended up essentially being a large mandolin. So it's a
Yeah.
lower pitched, mandolin. Sometimes people call it an octave mandolin, but this one is called an Irish bouzouki. So the only real difference is the scale length. Sometimes is a little bit bigger. And yeah, it's just a great little instrument. It's easy for me to pick up from the fiddle because the strings are tuned in fifths pretty much, except the last string I tuned down to a D. So the tuning is
Mm,
G D A D.
very nice.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful instrument. And
thank you.
it is so fun and interesting to see the traces of one culture to another through instruments. That's one of my favorite things to learn
Yeah.
about, is how instruments came from one place and went to another. And even instruments that we think of as being very quintessentially one culture often come from a completely different culture. And that's really cool.
Yeah, it's not, like the idea of what is a traditional instrument in Irish music is so like convoluted now because I
Yes.
mean, even a guitar isn't traditional if you really
No.
want to get, you know, finicky. But yeah, I mean, at this point, like bouzouki is a hallmark, is a main instrument for playing in sessions and also accompanying singers or fiddlers or whatever. And I just love the way it sounds. I was like, everybody's playing the guitar. I want to play this.
It's perfect. It's incredible. Now, you said, as you told us, this is the busy season for you. So, do you have anything still coming up that people who are close to you in that area of the DMV might be able to check out?
Oh yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We have a concert later today, a really special show at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Alexandria, which is going to be a combination of beautiful slow ballads and chamber music from 18th century Scotland and Ireland, with a cellist, a wonderful cellist, Aryn Geier, and Kevin Elam, All Ireland singing champion. And then on Monday we play at Ned Devine's in Herndon at like 1 o'clock, and then we have something kind of a private event that night, and then there's the Washington Tattoo coming up, so that's going to be on the 29th of March, and that's at the Lisner Auditorium in DC. And then in April we have some fun events down south in my hometown. April 5th and 6th will be April 5th will be at the Nansman Brewing for a Scottish festival, because April is Scottish month. Tartan Day is April 6th. So we have a good time celebrating all the Scottish music right after Irish month, and yeah, just lots of fun festivals coming up. So they'll be on my website and everything.
That's awesome. Well, I you mentioned that you'll be playing with Kevin Elam, and he was in the Daily Antidote of Song as well. So we've got friends all over the place. I remember the day that he sang. There's one in particular in my mind. I'm not sure if he's performed more than once, but one is sticking out in my head as a very fun day of singing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've been playing with Kevin for since 2011,
That's
so it's
incredible.
been a while.
My favorite thing is learning how many of our musicians know each other because it really is such a tight-knit community.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, I know that you brought us a second song. Will you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, so this is one of my favorite songs in the Irish traditional repertoire. I heard it from the singing of Kathy Jordan from Dervish, which is a wonderful band, and I just thought she's got. I wanted to emulate her when I first started singing in general, just because she has so much personality that comes across in her voice, and she can either make you smile or make you cry. Like she's got a real gift. And when I first told her, like, oh my God, I just worship you as a singer, she was like, oh, God help you. It's like, okay. But anyways, I got this. What'd you say?
I just laughed. It's really
She's
funny.
hilarious. She's hilarious. She does a lot of fun song workshops online. She did a really healing thing during COVID. She did a song a day for a couple of weeks during COVID. It was wonderful. But this is one of her big hits, and it's since become now one of my big hits. It's called Eileen Og, and Og means young. So it's young Eileen, which is funny because they're already, when you have an een on the end of your name, like Colleen or Eileen, that already kind of is a diminutive word, so it's like small. So she's young, and she's just, she's a very very beautiful lady. And this song is written by Percy French from the early 1900s. He lived in like 1850 to 1920, and Percy French wrote a lot of these sort of beautiful ballads, and also sort of in the vaudeville tradition of the Irish music. So this one definitely has that. We've done it with jazz drums and just kind of taken it to a more of a jazzy space, which is really fun. And it's got the catchiest melody and chorus that you could have. So we'll go ahead and do it. So the form of it is it's got a verse, and then it's got a second part of the verse, which kind of goes to major key, and then the melody stays the same for the major key in the chorus. So the chorus is Eileen Og, me heart is growing grey, ever since the day you wandered far away. Eileen Og, there's good fish in the say, but there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. Okay, so you gotta get ready for it. But there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. Okay, and this one is written from the perspective of several young men in Petravore who fell in love with Eileen, but she didn't want anything to do with them. So they wrote this song as a way to complain about that, and they're also complaining about the guy that she did choose, because they said, well, he didn't even pay her any attention at all. So that must be the way to gain a young girl's heart, is just pretend like they don't exist, and that's what they think they're going to try. So anyways, we'll find out. We'll find out all about the Eileen Og. There's wonderful characters in this song. The man that she falls for is called Big McGrath. Big McGrath, the cattle jobber. And he's the hardest featured man in Petravore. So I guess he's not good looking enough. But anyways, that's from the guy's perspective, as we know. So let's try that chorus with the melody. So it's Eileen Og, me heart is growing grey, ever since the day that you wandered far away. Eileen Og, there's good fish in the sea, but there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. Well, Eileen Og, and that the darling's name is, through the barony, her features they were famous. If we loved her, who was there to blame us? For wasn't she the pride of Petravore? But her beauty made us also shine. Not a man among us could look her in the eye. Boys, oh boys, sure that's the reason why we're in mourning for the pride of Petravore. Well, Eileen Og, me heart is growing grey, ever since the day that you wandered far away. Oh, Eileen Og, there's good fish in the sea, but there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. Eileen met McGrath the cattle jobber. Well, I'd like to set me mark upon the robber, for he stole away the pride of Petravore. He never seemed to see the girl at all, even when she ogled him from underneath her shawl. Looking big and masterful while she was looking small, most provoking for the pride of Petravore. Well, Eileen, oh, me heart is growing grey, ever since the day that you wandered far away. Eileen, oh, there's good fish in the sea, but there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. It went as it was in the beginning. Eileen Og was bent upon the winning. Big McGrath contentedly was grinning, being courted by the pride of Petravore. Says he, I know a girl that could knock you into fits. Oh, at this Eileen nearly lost her wits. Oh, upshot of the ruction was that now the robber sits with his arm around the pride of Petravore. Oh, Eileen, oh, me heart is growing grey, ever since the day that you wandered far away. Oh, Eileen, oh, there's good fish in the sea, but there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. Boys, oh boys, with fate 'tis hard to grapple. Of me eye, sure Eileen was the apple, and now to see her walking to the chapel with the hardest featured man in Petravore. Now, boys, this is all I have to say, that when you do your courting, you make no display. If you want them to run after you, just look the other way, for they're mostly like the pride of Petravore. Oh, Eileen, oh, me heart is growing grey, oh, ever since the day that you wandered far away. Oh, Eileen, oh, there's good fish in the sea, but there's none of them like the pride of Petravore. Oh, Eileen, oh, me heart is growing grey, oh, ever since the day that you wandered far away. Oh, Eileen, oh, there's good fish in the sea, but there's none of them like the pride of Petra, none of them like the pride of Petra, none of them like the pride of Petravore. Eileen Og.
That is a fun song. You aren't kidding. That's a really good one. No wonder it's one of your favorites. I think that's now one of my favorites.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's fun to play up the drama in it.
Oh, of course. What is the point of playing a wonderful Irish ballad if you're not going to ham it up? That's
Exactly.
the whole fun of it. Oh, that was so much fun to sing with you. Thank you so much for bringing us both of those fantastic songs. Everybody, can you give it up one more time for Seán? Seán Heely, everybody. That was so, so wonderful. What a perfect way to not quite end out our week this week, but very close. We've got one more day. Like I said, tomorrow is going to be featuring Christiana Drapkin, who's in the room with us right now. We can't wait to sing with you tomorrow, Christiana. And if you missed earlier this week, we've had a wonderful, wonderful week this week. Women's history and Irish heritage. We've had such people as Lynn Harrison. We've had Peter Amadon, Kathy Bullock. We didn't get to sing with Allie Burns, but we've rescheduled her, so we'll get to sing with her very soon. Molara, and now today with Seán, and tomorrow with Christiana. So it was a wonderful week. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Peter Amadon is going to be hosting on St. Patrick's Day, and he's going to be hosting Joe Jenks. So we'll have some more wonderful Irish music for all of you. So be sure to tune in next week, because we'll have some more wonderful singers and songs coming up. And that is how we have spent our Saturday today, folks. It's time to say goodbye, so everyone give it up one more time for Seán Heely. Be sure to go to his website and check out all of those wonderful places that you can see him and his friends and coworkers and collaborators sing and play wonderful music. And now help me wave goodbye to everyone watching out there on the live stream. Bye, live streamers. Thank you so much for being here with us today. They were absolutely rollicking ballads, that they were. All right, goodbye, and thank you to Seán Heely in Falls Church, Virginia, JoJo in Florida, and Jonathan in Rhode Island, Sydney in San Francisco, Neil in Boston, Mass, Kathleen in Albuquerque, Carolyn in Boise, Idaho, Marion in Brighton in the UK, David and Elsie in Oakland, California, Sue in Seattle, Mabel and the Cinnamon Bears in Massachusetts, Linda in Orcas Island, Benet in Berkeley, California, Sheila in Florida, Kathy in California, Christiana in Maryland. Can't wait to sing with you tomorrow. Athena in Brooklyn, New York. Busy of Carpe Diem Arts, outside somewhere beautiful. Storm in Massachusetts. Trish in Victoria, BC. Bob in Albany, New York. Arlene in Berkeley, California. Julie in Ontario, Canada. Bob in Massachusetts. Nan in Michigan. Cricket, goodbye. Bye to Caroline in DC. Linda in San Rafael, California. Deli in Maryland. Linda in Concord, Mass. Jamie in Victoria, BC. Annette in California. Hoda in BC. Anne in Silver Spring, Maryland. Susan, goodbye. Goodbye to Aloysius in Massachusetts. Deborah in Kentucky. Candace and Ariana, both in Los Angeles and both doing wonderful tech for us today. Thank you both for all that you do. Jenny in Suffolk in the UK. I see a curly top in Vermont. Goodbye, goodbye to Cliff and Lynn in Vermont. Fred in Silver Spring, Maryland, and Lynn in Connecticut. It has been so wonderful singing and chatting with all of you, especially you, Seán. Thank you for all that you brought for us today, sang and played for us today. My name is Aryn. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. This has been the Daily Antidote of Song, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.